South Africa's Native Land Act of 1913. After the Anglo-Boer War of 1899 to 1902, most of South Africa was controlled by Britain. During this time, there were huge labor shortages, so the British passed laws to force African farmers off their land in order to become migrant laborers. Black citizens had no political rights, and most of the wealth of the country was controlled by white citizens. At the time, 80% of the population was black, but highly paid jobs were reserved for whites only. In 1913, the government passed the Native Land Act, which allocated 13% of the land to blacks, even though they made 80% of the population. Africans were forced to leave white-owned land and move to reserves, which were small, dry, and not adequate for agriculture. More men were forced to seek employment in the mines and white-owned farms or industries in order to pay taxes. The 1913 Native Land Act forced many Africans to work for white farmers, and white-owned landowners were empowered to confiscate cattle that belonged to Africans. Some Africans resisted working in mines and industries and became sharecroppers who worked on farms owned by poor whites and paid rent to them. Africans preferred to be sharecroppers than workers on white-owned commercial farms. Sharecropping, however, reduced the labor force available for commercial farmers, so the government passed a law in 1936 that forced sharecroppers to become laborers on commercial farms. The new law required blacks living on white farms to work for the white farmer at least 6 months every year, so many Africans abandoned sharecropping and moved to the reserves. According to Sol Plaatje, a black leader and first secretary of the African National Congress, ANC, before 1913, they had raised an average 800 bags of grain in each season, which gave a steady income of about £300 per year after the farmer had taken his share. The native provides his own seed, his own cattle, his own labor, and after bagging his grain, he calls in the landlord to receive his share, which is 50% of the entire crop. All this had gone well till the previous week when the landowner came to the native tenants with the story that a new law had been passed under which, as the peasant said, all my oxen and my cows must belong to him, and my family to work for £4 a month, failing which he gave me 4 days to leave his farm.